You're right, love. You have every right to question all of them. It is alright if you do not forgive any of them. It's up to you. But people have reason for the actions they take. Even thief steal because they need money. Everyone has a reason for what they did. But being scared is not a reason, Jungkook. They shook his head and pulled back in his arm. They ignored that throbbing in his heart and stayed at his. It is not the reason to ruin people's life. It is so wrong to me, to Deon, to Alex, and even to Dad. Why was he forced to take care of other man's children? They shouted in frustration, anger at him for not understanding him. Maybe it was never forced. Why do you think he was forced there? Don't you believe his love for you? He reasoned. He was in love with your mother, even if she never forced him. He accepted us because he had to, because he loved Mom. Love toward us after that. After he accepted us, they glared at him. He's the person who brought you up. He matters more than Alex, because he is the one who had been there for you. He softly said, but if Alex was given a chance, he would have been there too. He shook his head. You can't understand me because you're not me. Of course, I can't feel you. What do you feel, baby? But I do understand you. You want answers today, and you can only get them for your mother. He grabbed the hand and Hassan kissed the back of it. I don't want answers because I already have them. I don't want to see her face again. Never. They shook his head stubbornly. She lied straight on my face when I asked her about my father. Does that mean I am? And his eyes, and once again he found himself crying. They stop it. You're torturing yourself with these thoughts when they are not true. He shook his head at him. Come on, it's going to be fine. He gently pulled Tay toward him and embraced him. That was all he needed. They cried in his chest and let out his emotion. Thank God they had Jungkook, otherwise he didn't know what he would have done. Are you hungry? He asked once they cried. They sniffed and wiped his nose with his sleeve. They shrugged but didn't answer. Come on, we'll have lunch with everyone else. Leung is there shortly. He stroked their neck with his thumb. They remained silent and patiently waiting for the answer. Jungkook? He smiled. Jungkook loved it when he called his name, like that whatever he had any question. They sounded like a child and so adorable. Yes, he answered. Did you cut my hair? His hand flew toward the bandage behind the head, and Jungkook, his hand away and squeezed it. Not me, but yes, they had cut some of your hairs. He nodded and they slipped away and looked at him, with his lips trembling. Do I have a bald spot now? He knew he was on the verge of crying. So he swallowed and gave a smile, but he didn't have a bald spot where he cut himself. It will be gone, I promise, he mumbled. What will you promise to? It will not grow my hair back. Why did you let them cut my hair? You were there, are not you? They glared at him and Jungkook's mouth were open and closed. I was worried you were bleeding, he started, and they glared at him. You were not worried. That you didn't even see that my hair being cut away. I must look like a joker now, they cried. Stupid bandage. To touch the bandage and win. If my hair doesn't grow back until summer, then I will make sure to rip you out, they threatened. Jungkook nodded and clapped. What was his fault in that? He wasn't the one who injured his head. God, this boy. The atmosphere at the lunch was awkward. Nobody said anything, and they felt nervous for not any reason. Maybe he was being self-conscious. Time to time he looked at them, who sat across the table, his palm tense, and he ate his lunch. Ines sat beside him, and no one sat, while on the other side Jungkook followed by his parents across the table. How are you feeling, Tae? Asked his father-in-law. They looked up at his plate and gave him a forced smile. Much better. The headache almost gone. They admit. He nodded and smiled at him. How much time is left until the university end? Jungkook mother questioned. They turned his head toward her and signed. 3 or 4 only, they answered. So, are you gonna continue studies or bachelor enough? It was Jungkook who answered. Not right now. I want to take a break, and I'm not sure about higher studies yet. They shrugged. Jungkook ate quietly because they and he and Jungkook fell into a smooth conversation. Jungkook asked a lot of questions, and strangely, they was not annoyed. They actually enjoyed the conversation and flow between them. Then all of a sudden, Jungkook's phone rang, and he excused himself. The rest of the course went silent until the maid collected the dishes. The elder excused themselves for the afternoon tea right after the lunch, which was weird, and got off the table. That left them, they, along with their spouses. They swallowed sitting still in a dining chair and glared at them. What we are going to do now? They murmured difficulty his question to them who looked up with a hardened jaw. Nothing there. We are going to do nothing but cut off our all ties with those people. He started. They felt Jungkook stiff beside him, and they grabbed his hand under the table and squeezed. What? Where are you leaving? They asked Young. Simon rubbed his head. I have a house in Chicago. I'm planning to sell it and buy another. He paused. I'm not resigning for the company. I had worked hard for there. Where I am today, and I'm not going to give up for a lie. They smiled. What about Alex? They inquired, a little scared. They all looked up at him. There were not any anger, like they had expected. His face was calm, but his look, I don't know. He murmured and shook his head. I think we should go now. Thank you for having us for lunch. And he said, maybe sensing the conversation would lead to yell and shouts, and they were not ready for that. Jacob nodded and all of them stood up. It's not a problem. We are glad that you have feel free to join us wherever you like, he pleasantly said, and after goodbye and good luck for both Ine and Dion to leave the house, the feeling that top in his heart noted that he needed rest, not matter how much he didn't want it. They climbed the stair once. Jungkook had excused himself for a call and took his tablet. Somewhere in the same house, a man was sitting on the chair in the balcony. Balcony had been outside his own scheduled room. He crawled, whistled to the bone on his leg. It was painful but he couldn't scream for he didn't want anyone to hear of this. He had gone it, and also that man stuck with it. He had enemies and had screwed his life, but what was done was done, and he wasn't the one back out. He knew he needed to end the man who had been cursed to him and his family. Only then his family would be in peace. One of his men would died, who was still saving him. Now he needed a better plan. Or maybe he didn't even need a plan. He could always take for the bag, even if that proved him to be cowarded. It didn't matter anyway because in the end, all ever wanted was that, and that real man that would get. The smiles that hadn't been wiped away from everyone's faces would come back once the blood of the man had been spilled, and he couldn't wait to wrap his hand around his throat, to plug the knife on his chest, and wash the thick, delicious blood. Only that would be satisfied, and everyone around him would be happy.